Welcome to Hypo Brew. I'm Tom Brennan. Today I'm going to show you how I do brew in a bag. Yes, indeed, is another entry into my easy all-grain series that I've got going up on YouTube. You can check out the other links in somewhere in the video. I'll post them, I'm sure, maybe right now. It's actually a really great way to get into all-grain brewing, and it's super easy. You need very little investment, and I will show you all of that on the other side of the ska. Stumbled upon this video, chances are you've seen other brew in the bag videos, so I'm not really going to get into the whole water calculation thing, but what I will show you are a couple tips and tricks that I have, including how to get all that hot, heavy wort out of your kettle without killing your arms or anything else. Let's first get to how I set up my kettle on brew day. So one of the things when you're doing brew in the bag is you want to be sure not to scorch the bottom of your kettle when you're warming things up or you're doing your mash out. So what I did was actually I bought a tamale pot years ago I used for my hot liquor tank now, but it came with this screen. So what I did was I bent it so this way it'll fit actually inside the kettle. So I've got the little bump there, and then what I'll do is I will stick it right down to the bottom here. I mean, obviously you can figure out another way to keep the bag from the bottom of the from reaching the bottom of the kettle, but so that's what I do there, and it actually works out just fine. It all it really needs is just a couple of inches or away from there, so we don't scorch the bag, because that's something you do not want to do. All right, now that I got my flame going, I've got my thermometer, which has got a little bit of condensation. That'll clear up with all the heat coming from the bottom of the burner. Speaking of the tamale pot, I actually have the lid for the tamale pot, which I use to put on top of my kettle this way when it warms up. The other thing I actually just forgot to note in that last cut, probably a good idea to put that the screen in the water before you warm things up, because it can get a little weird. So by weird I mean hot. So you want to do that while you're heating things up, as opposed to after you heat things up, because you could hurt yourself. So put the lid back on and we'll get the mashing in a few minutes. Got my strike temperature up. I have my bag in here, and I'm ready to mash in. I'm only not showing you how to do this because it's actually it's a pretty simple process. I've got some clips here just holding the bag in place so it doesn't go into the water. And I put the bag in. That, and I don't really have a tripod handy, so that's why I'm filming this now. So I'm going to try to mash in. Let's see if I can do this while holding the camera. That should be fun. Yep, I tried doing that, and it was a terrible fail. So actually I've got a recirculating pump here. One of the great things about having two ports in your kettle is that you have the ability to kind of stir around the water as you're mashing in. Got my paddle here. I'm just going to kind of get rid of all the dough balls and let everything kind of sit in there. Man, I love the smell of mash. Oh, it's so good. So good. So then what I'll do is I'm just going to cover this up. I've got my lid that I had there, my tamale pot lid. I'm going to cover this thing up and let it sit for my mash time. And the other great thing about this too, unlike a mash tun, like if the temperature gets too cold, what I could do is actually just turn the heat back up, and then I should be okay, because I can control the temperature much better. And if it gets too warm, what I could do is I could turn on the circulator and just circulate the water around and take the lid off, and then I'll cool it down a little bit. So it works out pretty well. While I'm mashing in, I'm going to show you what I need for mashing out. I actually pull the bag up using a pulley system and my ladder. This is about 10 foot of rope that I have here. I have a clamp, like a hiker's clamp, even though it's not really a hiker's clamp, but I've got a pulley here, right? And then I've got another pulley. And then I have, this is just some chain that I had left over to hook onto the ladder. I'll show you how that works in a minute, and then an S-hook for that. And then on the ladder itself, let's see if I can show you real quick. There's a little clamp here that I have screwed into the aluminum ladder that I'm going to wrap the rope around. Just so you know, that clamp is called the cleat. So I'm going to show you how that works in just a little while. I still have about 10-15 minutes left, and I had to goose up the temp on I'm looking for 148. I had to goose up the temp like once or twice with this, but it's really not a big deal. And then I had to lower it a little bit, and that's how I used the pump to do that. So I'll get back to you when I'm mashing out. All right, it's time to mash out. I've got gonna get my grain up to 168 degrees, let it sit there for 10 minutes. So I'm gonna stir up my grain here to help things kind of evenly distribute the heat around. Actually, I'm just going to put this down for a minute. I'm going to show you how I've got my pulley system set up. So up top here, I'm going to see if I can get around here. Probably have a better view here. Okay, so here's the just the rope that I've tied on one end of the A ladder here. Okay, then you're going to follow this rope all the way down. And here's the pulley that I have here attached, or I should say the pulley. That's a pulley. That's a clasp, which we're going to attach to the end of the brew bag there. Then I've got my rope back up to here, where we have another pulley and the rope going through it. And this is that extra chain that I have. So I've got it just kind of hooked around the S hook here to kind of keep it stable. And then we're going to follow the rope down here, and there's the clamp. So what happens is when I'm pulling up the grain, I could actually stop the grain from going up, and I can just quickly just tie this up, and then it should be stable. All right, so I'm going to heat up my grain here to 168, and then I'm going to pull the bag out after it's there for about 10 minutes, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so I've got the four ends of the bag tied up here with my clamp here. I've got the pulley system going on. I'm just going to raise this up out of the water, so this way you can kind of see what it looks like out of the water. Yes, I misspoke. It's not water, it's wort. Bag is out of the water now. If you could hear, the grain is draining out. What I'm going to do in a few moments is just turn the heat back on. Then I have these silicone gloves that I picked up, and I'm going to squeeze the bag. Yes, a lot of people say you shouldn't squeeze the bag, but I'm a bag squeezer, and I'll freely admit that I'm a bag squeezer. One thing when you're pulling the bag out of the kettle here, I try not to put up too high, because otherwise I'm going to lose some wort that's inside of the grain along the sides of the rim here, and it's just going to get lost. So what I do is I just try to keep it as evenly inside the kettle as possible, and that's about it. All right, time to squeeze my bag. Two little side notes what I should tell you guys about, figured I would tell you guys about. First off, make sure to take out that screen that was in the bottom of your boil kettle. You may not remember that it was there, but it is there, protecting your grain bag, so make sure to fish that out. And then what I also do too is I take the grain bag here, and I just let it sit in a container, let any additional water drain out of it. I mean, what else have I got to do with the bag? I just have to clean it, so I might as well let it sit. All right, and that's about it. Actually, from this point on, you've just got a regular boil you got to get going, and that's about it. Brew in a bag, pretty easy. A couple easy steps. You just need a couple of things. Not too bad. Yes, it's not too bad. As a matter of fact, you can get a brew in a bag for about 30 bucks online. That whole pulley system that I've got going on, a couple parts in the local home improvement store, was probably about $20 altogether. And yes, indeed, it is not too bad. If you enjoyed this video on how to do brew in a bag, or my other easy all grain videos, if you haven't checked it out already, go ahead and do so. And hey, while you're at it, check out the subscribe button somewhere over here, over there. I don't know where I'm going to put it. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter at HypoBrew. You can also find me on Facebook.com/HypoBrew. You could also check out my recipe posts, some videos, and some other blog posts that I've got going on over at HypoBrew.com. Until next time, everybody, cheers.